Japan is the worst-case scenario here as well.
And the fault line off our coast is capable of a quake of that magnitude or even larger. So what would happen if we saw a tsunami the size of Japan's? We turn to King 5's Glenn Farley for the answers. Glenn.
Well, Gene, it's not just that big fault that's off our coastline. There's another fault running right here across Elliott Bay down through South Seattle called the Seattle Fault. You've probably heard about it. That could also give us trouble. Another one off Tacoma. But the big daddy is that big fault off the coast. This video taken by a Japanese news helicopter is the best we've ever seen of a tsunami coming ashore. It's a 23-foot tall wave. And watch as it and waves that follow start taking their toll on a shoreline damaged by an 8.9 quake just minutes earlier.
3 to 5 minutes of intense shaking, and we're talking about shaking that would knock over a refrigerator in your home.
Dr. Eddie Bernard is one of the world's top tsunami experts, and he is based right here in Seattle. What he sees on these images could be us.
It would take out all of the houses that are within probably a quarter mile of the beach itself, depending on the state of the tide.
So what is our tsunami threat? Well, just like in Japan, it would be worse along Washington's coast. Around Grays Harbor, Ocean Shores, and Westport could be swamped by 30-foot waves, along with much of Hoquiam and Aberdeen. But the effects of that tsunami could be felt 25 to 30 miles inland, going up the Chehalis River. Now, low-lying areas along the Strait of Juan de Fuca and up to Bellingham would also be affected. In coastal quakes like Japan, the wave energy, though, would not make that turn into Puget Sound. So if you live on Puget Sound and are now breathing a sigh of relief, you might want to hold your breath just a little bit longer. We can have tsunamis here in the Sound with wave heights of 6 to 13 feet. They're triggered by another set of faults, the Seattle and Tacoma Fault.
It would generate a tsunami that would do enormous damage to downtown Seattle, waterfront, and Terminal Island.
Yet it looks so peaceful now. Of course, nobody knows, none of the scientists know when this is going to happen again. But here's a real interesting thing. So when was the last big fault, like the one we saw in Japan, here off the Washington coast? It was on January 26th of the year 1700 at 9 p.m. Now you're going, how could they know that? The reason they know is that the tsunami that hit Japan was carefully recorded back in that year, and scientists, after they found those records a few years ago, were able to backtrack the timing because tsunami waves move across the open ocean at about 600 miles an hour.